It's Thursday, March 19th. In the headlines, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness to highlight development priorities in annual budget debate. National Health Fund expands benefits as lifestyle diseases surge in Jamaica. In business news, a central bank reports net loss while reserves rise. Regionally, Grenadians traveling to the United States may soon be required to pay a visa bond before entry. And in sports, Mount Pleasant target historic comeback against LA Galaxy tonight. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is set to deliver his 11th contribution to the annual budget debate as Jamaica continues recovery efforts following Hurricane Melissa. Dr. Holness is expected to outline key priorities and investments to guide the country's development with a focus on growth, opportunity, and rebuilding communities across the island. His presentation comes amid growing economic challenges, including rising global oil prices linked to escalating tensions in the Middle East. Recent developments, including an Israeli strike on Iran's South gas field, have pushed oil prices higher, with Brent crude rising to over $108 a barrel. The government had already projected a slight economic contraction for the 2026-2027 fiscal year due to the impact of the Category 5 hurricane. The Prime Minister is now expected to announce measures to ease the burden of rising oil prices and an $18 billion tax package, particularly for vulnerable groups. Meanwhile, Opposition leader Mark Golding has warned that the combination of post-hurricane hardship, higher energy costs, and new taxes could place additional strain on Jamaicans. He's urging the Prime Minister to outline clear plans to protect citizens, especially those recovering from the storm. Leading manufacturers are backing a proposal by opposition leader Mark Golding to remove GCT on bottled water, saying it could promote healthier lifestyles. He made the call during the budget debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Water costs more than gas in Jamaica. If we really want to encourage healthy consumption, then remove the GCT from water. And other healthy alternatives so that the people can afford to buy them.
President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Catherine Silvera, says there's good sense in the opposition leader's proposal.
With the suggestion of the removal of GCT on bottled water, it certainly would encourage persons to drink more bottled water if there was no GCT on it, because that would make the end purchase less expensive than it currently is.
Chairman of Westinco Group Limited, William Mafood, whose company produces the popular Water brand, also expressed support for the idea.
It would make the price point for consumers for bottled water much more attractive, and therefore likely that they would want to spend or buy more. And I think if you compound that with the proposed tax on sweetened beverages, it would make it even more attractive for consumers to buy bottled water.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is warning that lifestyle diseases continue to place a growing strain on Jamaica's healthcare system. Speaking at a National Health Fund event on Wednesday, Dr. Tufton said the increasing number of Jamaicans living with lifestyle-related illnesses is driving up healthcare costs. While addressing the launch of an expanded NHF card benefits, which now includes coverage for 4 additional conditions: heart failure, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, inflammatory bowel disease, and bladder cancer. This brings the total number of subsidized illnesses to 28, covering more than 80% of conditions identified by the World Health Organization. The expansion also increases prostate cancer screenings to 4 per year, up from 1, and introduces a $7,500 subsidy for an annual echocardiogram. Residents of St. Thomas are being encouraged to attend a health fair set for Thursday, March 19 at the St. Thomas Teen Hub, aimed at raising awareness about the human papillomavirus and preventing cervical cancer. Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Doyen Smith, says the initiative, organized by the St. Thomas Health Department, is particularly important for young people, noting that those between the ages of 9 and 19 are at risk of HPV infection.
Where we're looking to bring in persons for screening, pap smears, doing everything else, but also mostly focusing on the HPV vaccine, trying to get it recharged again.
He highlighted the importance of the HPV vaccine, introduced locally in 2016, describing it as a critical tool in reducing cancer risk. According to Dr. Smith, increased use of the vaccine could prevent up to 70% of cervical cancer cases. He adds that the health fair will focus heavily on boosting awareness and uptake of the vaccine, while encouraging residents to take advantage of early screening and other preventative services.
And many people, you go through all of your hard work in life, and when it is now time to retire, you die because of something that could have been prevented by a simple vaccine. So this is us doing the best, giving the best opportunity to our next generation. So it's 9 to 14 males, and we are doing the 9 to 19 females, particularly for this health fair.
Dr. Smith was speaking at a recent municipal meeting. Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Bank of Jamaica is reporting a net loss of 13.6 billion Jamaican dollars year to date, according to the central bank's latest balance sheet. The loss was recorded on total assets of $1.3 trillion as at February 26 this year, up from 1.16 trillion Jamaican dollars for the corresponding period last year. Despite the loss, the Bank of Jamaica's total capital and reserves edged up slightly to 47.9 billion Jamaican dollars, compared with 47.5 billion Jamaican dollars in the corresponding period last year. The report shows that the bank's foreign assets increased significantly, climbing to $1.1 trillion at the end of February, compared to 870.4 billion Jamaican dollars a year earlier. The increase was driven largely by a rise in the country's net international reserves, which reached US $6.8 billion in February. At the same time, the central bank recorded a decline in local assets, which fell to $241.2 billion at the end of February this year, down from $285.1 billion Jamaican dollars in February of last year. Tanisha Anderson, pensions manager, Jamaica National Fund Manager, says that 3 strategic moves can improve the participation in the pension fund sector. Current estimates suggest that only about 12% of Jamaicans participate in private pension arrangements, despite the much larger proportion of workers operating within the formal economy. Anderson suggests practical steps that can help expand participation in retirement schemes across the country. First, increased visibility and public awareness are critical. Jamaica currently has several registered retirement schemes operating within the private pension industry, with membership open to residents who earn income in Jamaica. Second, the introduction of a semi-mandatory framework such as the auto-enrollment program proposed by the Pensions Industry Association of Jamaica, and this could serve as a transformative step. Under such a framework, employees would be automatically enrolled into retirement schemes through their employers while still retaining the ability to opt out. Third, continued legislative support will play a vital role. While Jamaica may not yet be ready for a fully mandatory pension regime, policy measures that encourage wider pension coverage can create an environment where saving for retirement becomes the norm rather than the exception. For the trading period of March 17, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Woodcats International Limited with 36,451,453 units, representing 66.85% of market sales activity. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 3,210,994 units, representing 5.89% of market sales activities. Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited shares with 2,638,104 units, representing 4.84% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in distribution, investment, and transportation plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for March 17, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $158.54 and buying at $156.21. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $4.85 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $112.31 and was bought for $117.16. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.03 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $209.54 and was bought for $210.57. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. Global fuel prices are continuing to fluctuate and rise, largely due to increasing tensions in the Middle East. The ongoing conflict has resulted in increased reference prices at the United States Gulf Coast for this week. As a result, motorists should see an increase at the pump in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, March 19. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrodram, both grades of gasoline will go up by $4.50. 90 octane will be sold for $170.83 per liter, while 87 octane will be sold for $163.38. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $175.75 per liter after an increase of $4.50. An ultra-low sulfur diesel will be sold for $182.59 per liter, also up $4.50. Kerosene increased by $4.50 and will be sold for $165.15 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $77.05 per liter, up $3.06, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $86.27 per liter, up $3.06. Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to these prices. For our credit report tip of the day, credit is often framed as a tool for consumption, but used strategically, it can support asset creation. Entrepreneurs use credit to scale operations. Families use it to invest in education or property. Professionals use it to finance opportunities that generate long-term income. The key is discipline and awareness. Practical actions everyone should take. Review your credit report regularly. Dispute inaccuracies immediately. Keep credit utilization low. Pay obligations on time. Avoid unnecessary high-interest debt. So in an uncertain economy, resilience comes from preparation. A strong credit report does not eliminate financial challenges, but it gives you options, lowers your costs, and positions you to pursue opportunities that build asset and future cash flow. And in times like these, options matter. And that's today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
Thanks, Denise. That was our business report. In regional news, we begin in Grenada. Grenadians traveling to the United States may soon be required to pay a visa bond before entry. The reported measure, expected to take effect as early as April 2, is said to be part of a broader U.S. effort to clamp down on immigration violations. More in this GBN News report.
A major shift could be coming for Grenadians hoping to travel to the United States. Under a new U.S. policy announced on the U.S. State Department website today, nationals from Grenada will be required to pay a visa bond, which is a refundable sum intended to ensure travelers leave the U.S. before their authorized stay expires. While full details are still emerging, such bonds are typically applied to countries flagged for immigration risk factors, particularly visa overstays. According to the latest U.S. Entry-Exit Overstay report, Grenada recorded 260 overstay cases in 2024, representing an overstay rate of 1.67%. This means the overwhelming majority of travelers comply with immigration rules, with nearly 99% leaving the United States on time. With the implementation of the visa bonds, Grenadians applying for U.S. visas may now face higher upfront costs as well as additional scrutiny before approval. The bonds range from $5,000 to $15,000 U.S. Similar bond requirements were placed on Dominica and Antigua in January 2026, which was said to be driven by concerns over citizenship by investment program security, potential traveler overstay, and tightened immigration control. GBN has reached out to U.S. Embassy officials for further clarification on how the bonds will be administered and was told talking points will soon be circulated with more details. Outreach was also made to foreign affairs officials. However, key responders were engaged in a state funeral and unavailable for immediate comment. For GBN News, Janelle Dick.
In news from Trinidad and Tobago, while the Caribbean continues to make steady gains in the fight against HIV and AIDS, regional health leaders say significant challenges remain, particularly among young people, children, and vulnerable groups. In Trinidad and Tobago, at the opening of a regional meeting of National AIDS Program managers and key partners, officials warned that gaps in treatment access, rising infections among youth, and limited availability of life-saving medication could slow progress toward ending the epidemic. TTT News' Terrian Brown Campbell has the story.
While the Caribbean region has made significant progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS, there are still several obstacles before a regional victory can be declared. Minister of Health Dr. Lakram Bodo highlighted one key area as he addressed the opening ceremony of the meeting of the National AIDS Program managers and key partners on Wednesday.
But of course, challenges remain. Our young people aged 15 to 24 account for 1/4 of new infections, underscoring the need, of course, for youth-friendly prevention services. Key populations continue to shoulder a disproportionate burden of HIV.
The health minister pointed to another important challenge facing the region.
Also is the issue of the pediatric treatment coverage, which tends to lag significantly behind, with only 36% of children living with HIV on treatment, and less than 1/3 achieving viral suppression.
Chair of the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS Executive Board and Health Minister of Guyana, Dr. Frank Anthony, said access to medication is another problem area.
And we have seen that by 2027, the cost of lenacapavir should come down to about $40 per year. And that is remarkable progress. The challenge, however, is that while that is happening, we in the Caribbean still do not have access to this drug.
Dr. Anthony noted that some international drug agencies prevent countries from gaining access to AIDS medication.
If they think that you have resources, then they believe that you should pay the full cost. And that would put some of our countries at a disadvantage, because then we would not be able to access these medications. There are also another important thing that we have to look at, and that is sometimes ARVs that are available, the companies actually would tie up countries through different types of agreement.
PANCAP's chairman said the Global Fund has removed most of its financing from the Caribbean and Sub-Saharan Africa. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
We cap off our regional news with the latest from Guyana, as President Irfan Ali has sounded a national alarm over what he describes as a pandemic of gangs infiltrating secondary schools across the country and the wider Caribbean. Speaking at the opening of the Guyana Prison Service Annual Senior Officers Conference 2026 on Monday, the head of state called for an immediate, aggressive intervention to, quote, take the bull by the horns, end quote, before a generation is lost to criminal networks. HGPTV Nightly News has that story.
President Irfan Ali on Monday issued a stern warning about the rise of gang activity in schools across the country, describing it as a regional crisis that demands immediate intervention.
We have to take the bull by the horn. We have to get into our secondary schools. We have a pandemic of gangs in the secondary schools across the region now.
The head of state made the remarks while addressing the opening of the annual Senior Correction Officers Conference hosted by the Guyana Prison Service. He urged stakeholders not to shy away from confronting the realities unfolding within schools and communities.
We have to get into those schools. We have to get into those communities. We have to get into those homes.
President Ali emphasized that a united approach involving the religious community, civil society, and other partners is critical. He said such collaboration would help identify at-risk homes and vulnerable youths before they are drawn into criminal networks.
Identify communities with stigma. If we can do all of this, we will be able to address this challenge at the root cause.
Highlighting the social factors contributing to crime, the president noted that many children are raised in environments marked by trauma, limited positive role models, and the influence of gang leaders and drug traffickers. He stressed that building safer communities must prioritize early intervention, targeted reorientation, and sustained support for young people, as prevention remains the most effective tool against the spread of gang culture. Tiana Ko reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
In sports, we're on the spot with football. Mount Pleasant Football Academy will be looking to overturn a 3-goal deficit when they face LA Galaxy in their CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16 second leg today. The match is set for 6 p.m. at the National Stadium, with Mount Pleasant needing a 4-goal victory to advance to the quarterfinals. The Jamaican club trailed by just 1 goal late in the first leg in California, but a late surge, including a hat-trick from Galaxy's Gabriel Peck, left them facing a steep challenge. Head coach Theodore Whitmore remains hopeful, saying the team is aware of the difficulty but is prepared to give its best effort over the full 90 minutes. And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.